As India is progressing on its path of energy transition, the role of electricity distribution companies is becoming more and more crucial. Not only these discoms serve as a very vital link between the producers and the consumers, but they also have a very critical task of balancing the complexities of the modern grid. Today, we have with us the CMD of India's largest discom, which serves more than 3 crore consumers across the state. He is an IS officer with extensive experience in public service and very deep understanding of the energy sector. He seeks to transform MSEDCL from a state power utility company to Asia's largest future energy provider. A very good morning to you, Mr. Lokesh Chandra. Thank you so much for joining us for the Energy Leadership Series talks of ET Energy World. We're really privileged to have you here.
Thank you very much for inviting.
So before I really dive into asking you the questions for the interview, I would like to read out a couple of highlights of MSEDCL in last couple of years, which you have led. So MSEDCL has become a nodal agency for Pradhan Mantri Surya Ghar Muft Bijli Yojana, which promotes rooftop solar for domestic consumers. Mukhyamantri Saurya Krishi Yojana, which is the flagship solarization scheme, has seen major progress. MSEDCL has achieved a rare feat for a public discom by reducing tariffs for the consumers, and we are going to talk a lot more about it in our interview. And the state utility provider has been proactive in signing long-term power purchase agreements for thousands of megawatts of RE, which includes solar and wind. So, Mr. Chandra, it's very clear that MSEDCL is adapting very well to be a leader in energy transition. Now, you have envisioned MSEDCL as the Asia's largest energy provider. So can you give some insights into how you are going about it, how MSEDCL is navigating energy transition?
Thank you very much for inviting me. In tune with the Honorable Prime Minister's vision for net zero by 2070 and 50% energy from renewable sources by 2030, Maharashtra, under the leadership of Honorable Chief Minister Shri Devendra Fadnavis ji, has chalked out its strategy to take care of the economical growth, in which we are envisioning the state to be $1 trillion economy in the near future. Energy being a main ingredient for the economic growth, what we have done, we have now, apart from the traditional growth of energy over the decades, this time we have aligned with the economic growth rate. And in next 5 years, what we are envisioning that our peak demand from the current level of 30,000 megawatt will grow to 45,000 megawatt. And accordingly, we have finalized our resource adequacy plan, which is taking care of not only for 2030, but up to 2035. Now, while doing this, what we have also realized that when we are doing this, we have to look into the sustainability part of the energy. And as I mentioned earlier, that to achieve the energy transition goals, which we are looking in Maharashtra at present, we have the energy mix of 13% coming from the renewable energy sources, where in 2030 will be 52%. And while doing this energy transition plan, which will be one of the largest energy transition plan in the world, as we are having the volume of more than 45,000 megawatt capacity coming in the next 5 years, out of which 38,000 megawatt is from the renewable sources. Now, what we have also considered while doing this, the cost optimization. So, we have considered the energy transition, including the cost optimization, at the same time increasing more and more energy from the renewable sources. Now, what has happened? Out of this 45,000, as I mentioned, 38,000 megawatt is from the renewable sources. This power is not only sustainable, this is also a cheaper power. And overall, in the coming years, as you were rightly pointing out, we are the first discom to reduce the tariff for our various consumer categories. This is a result of sustainable power, which is at cheaper rates, and we are going to save huge money in the power procurement cost. So this transition is happening. At the same time, we are also providing reliable, adequate, quality power, but sustainable power to the consumers in the Maharashtra.
That's very fascinating, sir. And what intrigued me the most was the increase of renewable energy share from 13% to 52%, which is quite a big number. So, this brings me to the next question of the core challenge about grid stability. Since you plan to increase the renewable energy in the energy mix to such a great level, how do you handle with the stability of the grid?
So renewable power being especially solar and wind, being intermittent or infirm in nature, when we are integrating more and more renewable energy into the grid, we have the challenges in the form of the grid stability. And recently we have the certain incidents which happened globally, like incident in the Portugal and Spain, and we also have a small incident in the western region few months back. So what we are doing in Maharashtra to take care of this, we have carried out the load flow studies for the grid stability. When we are injecting more and more renewable energy, especially the solar. But what we have done, what we have realized, if we are going for the distributed renewable energy, as we are going to solarize our agriculture feeders. In Maharashtra, actually, we have sizable consumption for the agriculture sector. To be very specific, around 30% of our total consumption is the agriculture sector. And this is the highest in the country. So we have decided that we'll solarize the agriculture feeders so that we get the energy for the agriculture sector from the solar. And as a part of that, we are doing this distributed renewable energy. The size is 16,000 megawatt. Now, when we are doing this, we are injecting this power at the 11 kV level, which is the distribution level. And we are also going for the distributed storage. So, by taking these kind of measures, we are able to ensure that whatever the power is going to into the grid, one, we are consuming at the source, and whatever power is going in the grid is not going directly because we are creating the storage facilities. So, it will take care a lot of uncertainties which are associated with the renewable power. At the same time, we are also going to create a lot of storage facility in the Maharashtra. We are going for the battery storage, we are going for pump storage facilities, and these are so designed that as per our requirement, when we are doing basically the load flow studies and our load pattern, we are considering that, and when we require power during the peaking hours, how we can utilize this power by storing in the storage devices. We have planned for that also. At the same time, we are also using the technology. In fact, we are modernizing our grid. We are also having better load forecasting by using the AI and ML tools, and which is also giving better predictability of solar and wind generation. And at the same time, we are also investing hugely for upgradation of the grid and strengthening of the grid.
So, one of the things you just pointed out was about the usage of battery energy storage systems.
Yes.
How is that going to affect the cost of power in the state since you have just reduced it significantly?
So, as I mentioned, that when we have planned our resource adequacy plan, which we are the first state to finalize, and not only finalize, we have actually implemented this. And when we have done this analysis, we have considered the scenarios which may be in the form of like business as usual, when we have only the thermal power addition, when we also have scenarios where we have the renewable energy with the higher scale of storage. We have also considered the renewable energy with moderate kind of storage facilities to take care of our requirements. And we have realized that for next 10 years, what we have planned, we will need an investment of more than 3,30,000 crores in the Maharashtra.
That's a huge number.
That's a huge number. And this also has the cost optimization thing, as I was mentioning earlier. Then when we have done the scenario analysis, we have run the numbers, we have realized this, though investment in this scenario, when we are coupling with renewable energy with the storage, total investment may be a bit more. But if we see the tariffs, as I was mentioning, there is a reduction in the tariffs over a period, because renewable energy basically it's as a fixed kind of tariff in the PPA, and we don't have the escalation impact in that. So renewable energy with the storage, though initially it looks like it might be costly, but what we are doing, we are storing the excess renewable power during the daytime, or even when the wind power is available, for using it for the peaking. Luckily, in Maharashtra, the wind pattern is so that it helps for meeting our peaking requirement. Now, solar power, which is only available during the daytime, we have ensured that whatever the agricultural load, we will be taking care of that during the daytime, and whatever the excess energy is available, we are creating adequate storage facility which will store this, and we will be using for the peaking. And when we are doing this as a kind of utility, when we are talking about the cost optimization, it is resulting in saving of some 1,10,000 crores in next 5 years in the power purchase cost. So though storage and other things look bit costly, but when we couple it with the cheaper solar power, it becomes more customer friendly, or you can say it's a more affordable kind of power we are going to supply to the consumers.
So since we are talking about the state's growing energy demand, and you just said it's going to grow up to 45,000 megawatt going forward, it brings me to the next question on PPAs. So can you just talk to us about the power purchase agreements, which are very central to the state's growing energy demand? What are the long-term and short-term plans for that? How are you going about transmission and grid integration, and how are you moving towards hybrid PPAs?
Yes. So, as I mentioned, our peaking demand is growing from 30,000 megawatt to 45,000 in next 5 years. At the same time, our energy requirement, which is 1,85,000 million units at present, it will be 2,80,000 million units. Now, when we are moving further to cater a economic growth rate of 7 to 8%, we are also envisioning that energy growth rate will be somewhere between 6.3 to 6.5%. Now, for these numbers, we have planned this resource adequacy plan. We have also planned the requirement of the capacities which we have to ensure in the coming period. Now, in next 5 years, we will be adding 45,000 megawatt of capacity, predominantly which is in the renewable forms, as I mentioned earlier, 38,000 megawatt. If you see today's scenario, in Maharashtra, we have around 42,000 megawatt of the installed capacity. And in the next 5 years, this is from since independence, last 76 years and so. And in next 5 years only, we are going to add 45,000 megawatt of capacity. So you can see the number, scale and speed which we are working in Maharashtra. And we are very confident that when we are doing this, we will be meeting the energy requirement of the state government as a state for the required economic growth. At the same time, we are also strengthening our transmission network and distribution network, because ultimately this power has to flow in the system. So we have prepared this resource adequacy plan, which is not only taking care of the generation, but also taking care of the investment required in the transmission sector, investment required into the distribution sector. So give you some few numbers. In the transmission sector, the investment may be more than 1,25,000 crores. In the distribution sector, it's around 65,000 crores. And we have already started the work in the distribution sector, in the transmission sector. And next 5 years, we'll complete all these system strengthening work which are required to ensure there is a smooth flow and there are quality power supply to our consumers in Maharashtra.
So this is about the new projects you are setting up, right?
Yes.
So talk to me about the old assets that are there, how you're going about modernizing them or renovating them to ensure that there is these can be integrated and with the green feed facilities, and there is a smooth flow, uninterrupted supply available to the consumers.
So when we are doing the planning for transmission and distribution sector, we are also we are aware of the challenges we are going to face in future with the renewable energy sources, which is basically intermittent nature. So what we are doing, we are also using the latest technologies for the modern grid or smart grid technologies. We are going to create digital twins. We are also going to use technology tools which will make us basically capable of handling the challenges of integration of large renewable sources into the grid. in the real time, and we will be able to handle these challenges. I am very confident, because as I mentioned earlier, that we have already carried out the load flow studies, and wherever the strengthening is required, wherever new lines has to be put up, we have started working on that. In fact, in Maharashtra, typically it was flow of power was from east to west, because our generation centers are located in the eastern part of the Maharashtra, and the load centers are predominantly in the western side. But now with the renewables which we are having in sites for the solar projects and wind farms in Maharashtra, now we need to have a north-south corridor for the transmission projects, and accordingly we have done the planning for that. And we are also going to use the latest technology, latest equipments which are capable of handling this kind of requirement for the grid. We are also having a lot of energy coming from the rooftop solar installations also, because in the PM Surya Ghar Muft Bij Yojana, a lot of consumers are, especially in the residential category, are going to adopt for rooftop solar installations. So we are also looking for using the smart inverters. We are going to create a virtual platform where we can use these basically rooftop installations also effectively, so that it is not going to create instability in the grid, and it can also support whenever required the grid in terms of the peaking requirements.
So my next question would be, sir, how are you going to maintain the transparency in billing and metering, especially for the decentralized and distributed systems, where the consumers are now getting converted to prosumers?
Yes. So in rooftop solar installations, what is happening, especially for the residential consumers, we have a policy for the net metering, and we are also providing them bidirectional meters, which essentially measures how much they are producing themselves for basically through the rooftop installation, and how much they are consuming from the grid. And based on the MERC regulations which are in place in Maharashtra, in fact, there is a clear policy and procedures defined, and we are paying all our consumers very transparently, because they can see in the real time what is the generation during the daytime from the rooftop installation and what is their total consumption, and we pay them at a price which is fixed by the regulator. And in Maharashtra, we have also made this whole process of rooftop installation for the especially for PM Surya Ghar Yojana, Muft Bij Yojana scheme, where Government of India is giving substantial subsidy. In fact, they are providing up to 3 kW, 78,000 rupees. And we have made this whole process faceless and paperless. And it's so easy for the consumer that they can just log into the national portal and provide their details, and load enhancement and approvals all are online. They need not to go to any office, and all the documents they can submit online. And we have ensured that all these applications are disposed of within a period of 3 years. And after the installation, when the inspection is done, their subsidy amount is debited to their account. It's a DBT kind of payment for the subsidy. So by using the technology, by using basically re-engineer the processes, we have ensured that the consumers are getting better services, and they need not to visit any offices, so that it saves their time also, and the whole process become basically very, very user friendly.
That's a very, very progressive step, I must say, sir. So now let me come to the most interesting part of our conversation today, the Mukhyamantri Saurya Krishi Vahini Yojana, which is the flagship scheme for solarization and one of its kind in the country, I would say. So first, how is this helping the farmers, and what role is this going to play in the bigger picture of energy transition of the state of Maharashtra, and how can such plans be emulated by other states?
So Mukhyamantri Saurya Krishi Vahini scheme is essentially to ensure daytime quality power supply to the farmers. In fact, it has been a demand from the farmers for decades that they should get the power supply during the day hours, because what is happening at present, we have power supply in two basically formats. We supply half of the power during the daytime and half during the night time, because It is also Energy Balancing Act, and at the same time also availability of the power at the better rates. It's a kind of vision of our Honorable Chief Minister Shri Devendra Fadnavis ji that we should ensure that all these farmers get the daytime power supply. Now we worked on this project, which is in the form of Mukhyamantri Saur Krishi Vahini, or it's basically the Kusum program of Government of India, and it's a distributed renewable energy project of agriculture feeder solarization. Now the quantum of this scale of this project, in fact, as I was mentioning, out of 45,000 megawatt, we are getting 38,000 megawatt from the renewable sources. Out of that, 16,000 megawatt is with under this program. And what essentially we are doing, we have identified the agriculture feeders, we have separated the agriculture feeders, and we have identified the substation where we have the substantial agriculture load. Now, what was happening, we were trying to implement this for last 7-8 years, but we were not getting the success. The main issue was basically the availability of land for this program. At the same time, various issues were basically we were having with the smaller investors or developers, because they were not getting the financial closure of these projects. At the same time, we were also struggling to get the necessary permissions in time. So at the same time, financial institutions were also not very comfortable to finance these smaller projects. So we did a thorough stakeholders consultation. We sat with the developers, we sat with the financial institutions, we also sat with our engineers to ensure that how with speed and efficiency we can implement this project, and we re-engineered the whole program. In fact, now it's called Mukhyamantri Saur Krishi Vahini 2.0, and it was launched in May 2023. After that, what we did, we also used the latest technology tools which is available in the form of PM Gati Shakti tool. We have our revenue department Bhu Abhilekh portal. We also have a MSEDCL land bank portal, and we integrated all these portals and created our new portal where we could identify government to the land to the tune of 40,000 acres in a period of 3 months. And this all land which was basically technically feasibility was carried out, and we also created the special structures for carrying out this transaction, where we created the special purpose vehicles. So this land was identified and then leased to the MSEDCL, and MSEDCL in turn leased it to the SPVs. Now these SPVs which we created, we also did the aggregation of size. In fact, initially the projects were to the size of 1 megawatt, 2 megawatt or 5 megawatt at the most. We created a capacity of 200 to 250 megawatt in the clusters, and these clusters were basically, then we did the bidding, and all the data related to these clusters or substations where we are going to have these smaller distributed renewable energy parks, we provided all the necessary permission upfront, and we provided all this data to our bidders when whosoever was participating. We created the data bank, and we did the transparent bidding. And when we were initially went for this bidding process, in fact, we were envisaging some quantum of some 4,000 megawatt, where we got the bids of 9,200 megawatt, and all the big players participated in this. And I am happy to share with you that after that, the second round, we could bid out the whole capacity of 16,000 megawatt for agriculture requirement. And out of this, we started our implementation, and the processes were so well defined, and all the permissions were given upfront. Financial institutions also, whatever the suggestion they gave in terms of the payment security mechanism, we also ensure the substations are updated. We also provided the deemed generation facility and pre-commissioning incentive in the basically agreements. So as a result, we could see the first project implemented instead of 18 months in 6 months.
That's very impressive.
Yes.
Very impressive.
And till date, within a period of 12 to 13 months, now we have already commissioned some 2,500 megawatt of capacity at 403 substations. Total 2,700 substations will be having these distributed renewable energy projects under the Mukhyamantri Saur Krishi Vahini, and we are confident by end of next year we will be able to complete all these projects where all the agriculture load will be shifted to the solar energy.
So 30% of energy will be taken care of easily.
Yes. So in this program, in fact, we are getting a substantial support from Government of India also. In fact, PM Kusum program, Kusum C, in which central financing to the tune of 1 crore per megawatt is given. So Maharashtra is getting support for 4,000 crores. And we are also having incentives for early commissioning in the terms of 25 paisa per unit for first 3 years, 15 paisa if they are connecting at 11 kV level. And we are also having some grant for the social development for the Gram Panchayats, because we also realize their active support is essential for the implementation of this project. So it's a win-win kind of situation where everybody is helping us. In fact, the whole government machinery is involved in this implementation of this program, and we are able to speedily implement the program. And this has created a lot of interest by other utilities also. In fact, this project has already been identified as a model project by Government of India, Ministry of New and Renewable Energy, and other states are also now following our model. In fact, to name a few, like Rajasthan, MP, Uttar Pradesh, Tamil Nadu, Karnataka. So everybody, they have visited us, they are seeing the progress of this project, and the scale at which we are implementing. I think it's not only for our other states. I think globally also this can be replicated, and for the similarly placed developing countries where agricultural load is quite substantial. This will not only ensure quality power supply for the farmers, but sustainable power, and also making a lot of impact in their livelihood. Because in Maharashtra, wherever we have completed these projects, we have got a number of benefits out of this Mukhyamantri Saur Krishi Vahini program. Because in this scheme, we have also one element where we are providing lease rental to the farmers, because availability of land was identified one of the major reason for slow implementation of this project. So wherever government land is not available, what we are saying, the farmers can offer their the land which is not cultivable or which are not being used for the agriculture, and we are paying rent to the tune of 1.25 lakhs per hectare per year, and which will be having a 3% increase every year.
That's
so
a big number.
Yes, so lot of land has been made available by the farmers which was not being used by them, and it has created a lot of income generation activity of farmers. Wherever they are getting the daytime power supply and quality power supply, their cropping pattern is changing, they are getting better yield from the crops, better income. This is also creating a lot of investment in the rural areas. In fact, for this 16,000 megawatt capacity, we are seeing an investment to the tune of 65,000 crores in the rural areas. And this is going to create 70,000 rural area jobs, because these projects are not only need to be commissioned, but they need to be maintained for next 25 years, because the PPAs are for 25 years. So permanent availability of a rural job in the areas where we have this project, at the same time permanent kind of availability of the power, and we are seeing a lot of income generation activity for the farmers in this project. At the same time, we are also seeing a lot of technical parameters improvement, like the voltage related issues are getting addressed. As we are injecting the power at 11 kV level, we are also seeing the loss reduction. In fact, T&D losses are less now. We are also seeing that, in fact, I must give you the some numbers, that when we are using previously the power was being utilized for the agriculture sector. So if you see my cost of power supply, it is around 9 rupee 50 paisa. Now, to supply the cheaper power to the farmers, what the regulator was doing, they were reducing the tariff for the agriculture sector 5 rupee 50 paisa. So almost 4 rupee was being cross subsidized by the other categories consumer, which is predominantly industry and the commercial consumers. Now, after this 550 also, government was providing about 4 rupees subsidy. So finally, it was being provided by the farmer only 1 rupee 50 paisa. Now, in Maharashtra, by implementing this scheme, what we have realized, because it is resulting in overall power procurement costs. So state government has already taken a decision to provide free power to the farmers, and the power which was being procured at the higher rates, now the power which we are getting, the PPAs which we have signed under this scheme, the average cost is around 3 rupee 5 paisa. So there is a straight decline in the power procurement cost, and there is a saving in the cross subsidies, and we will be saving around 13,000 crores annually for the cross subsidies for industrial and commercial consumers. At the same time, the burden on the government, since it was previously free 5 rupee 50 paisa to 1 rupee 50 paisa, now 3 rupee 5 paisa to since now it's free power. So there is a reduction in the government subsidy also. So it's a win-win situation where there is a cross subsidy burden on the industries being removed, so that Maharashtra is having now in the next 5 years there will be no increase for the industrial tariffs. On the contrary, where we used to have a 10% CAGR growth in the tariffs, now it is minus 2% CAGR. So it's a win-win situation. Cross subsidies are being removed. Government subsidy burden is going down. At the same time, farmers are getting daytime and quality power.
That's very interesting and very impressive. So now let's talk about how MSEDCL is going about new technology adoption. Let's talk about battery energy storage systems, pump storage projects that are coming up.
So what we are doing, we are using the new technology tools. In fact, as I mentioned, we are going to have modernization of our grid. We are also having the storage devices because when we are having excess power during the daytime, we are going to store this. In Maharashtra, as I mentioned, out of this 48,000 megawatt, we are having 38,000 megawatt of renewable energy. And during the daytime, we have a lot of excess power. So we have started using our load forecasting tools, which are basically essentially using the AI and ML tools, which is giving us better load forecasting and better load generation by having better weather prediction. In fact, the problem with the solar power especially is if you don't have the better basically prediction of the radiation or weather pattern, you will be not able to predict how much generation will be coming. So over last 1.5 years, we have started these load forecasting tools, which are helping us in better load management. And we are having some savings in the form of, because when we are able to better basically predict our load, we are having better load management in the terms of and procurement also. In terms of storage devices, we are among the first who has finalized the pump storage capacity of 3,500 megawatt for 8-hour storage. So in terms of total energy megawatt hour, it will be around 28,000 megawatt hour, and we will be commissioning this project by year 28-29.
Which are the places where these pump storage projects are coming up?
So they are coming in Maharashtra. In fact, luckily Maharashtra has got a lot of ideal sites for the pump storage, and we have identified a potential of more than 28,000 megawatt in Maharashtra. Out of that, we have done the bidding and we have selected 2 sites. One is in Nashik area, another is in the Raigad area. And another thing is we are doing the battery storage. In battery storage also, we are having a strategy where we are going to have distributed storage, where we are putting a smaller size storage device along with the distributed renewable energy. At the same time, we are also having our storage facilities co-located with the bigger size utility grid connected solar projects. And we are also having some storage facilities for the better grid management in our EHV stations. So by adopting this multi-pronged basically strategy, we are ensuring grid stability. At the same time, we are also ensuring whatever the cheaper power during the daytime is available, we are going to store it using for the peaking requirements.
So as we wrap up this interaction, what is the message that you would like to give to other DISCOMs who are also navigating energy transition?
So what I would like to share with all other utilities that one, we have to plan our resource adequacy plan properly, so that we know our exact numbers. And then when we are looking for the energy transition, we have to ensure that maximum power is coming from the renewable sources, as we are going to meet this net zero by 2070. At the same time, we have to also have adequate storage devices available with us, and we have to also be future ready to meet the challenges which are in the form of grid stability, which when we are injecting more and more renewables. At the same time, we are also having a lot of rooftop solar penetration in the residential category. Also, we are having a sizable increase in the electrical vehicles. In fact, that is another area where there is a lot of demand coming in when we are having the charging requirements. So we have to factor in all these demand requirements. We have to plan our capacity accordingly, and when we are doing this, we have to also should look at the cost optimization, and we have to, there is no other way than to adopt the new technology tools. We have to also see the consumer centric initiatives where they are more empowered, they are ease of doing business, where they can get the services at their doorstep or online, where they need not to run from one office to another office. And at the same time, this AI tools and digital twins and smart grids, which will be required to manage these kind of scenarios in the future. I think we all have to be future ready, and all these good practices which we are doing, in fact, we can do handholding with our utilities, and we can learn from each other definitely. And I'm sure that the new challenges which all the discoms are having, and most of the discoms in India also have the sizable agriculture load. So for better load management and better use of solar energy for the agriculture, because in India, what is happening, we are having a complementary kind of weather pattern for the agriculture. When the sunshine is more, our requirement for water is more. When we have the rains or during the monsoon season, our requirement is lower. At the same time, we also have the lesser generation from the renewable, especially for the solar. So these kind of compatibility also helping us in a better way using our renewable energy sources. Wind is also helping us in some of the areas in the peaking requirement. So overall, I think if we plan our requirements or resource adequacy meticulously, I think there is a possibility of reducing the cost of power procurement, which will also ensure that we are providing not only quality and reliable power to our consumers, but also affordable and sustainable power.
Thank you very much for such a candid conversation talking about the challenges as well as the achievements of MSEDCL. We all look forward to meeting you next week during the Energy Leadership Summit, and I'm sure people will benefit a lot from your thoughts.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very
Thank you
much.
for inviting.